This video is actually going to contain mild effort. I forgot to officially count it, but I think I'm like 6 cards behind. Today, we're going to take the time to get caught up because it's not like I have to do this, right? It's nothing official, but I enjoy the pattern of doing one every single day. Since they're wellness cards and the topics tend to be pretty nice, I thought, well, one per day, it's enough to keep me going. Today we have Stress Less. It reads, do something creative, whether it's painting a picture, listening to music, or writing a poem. Super good. When I was in school, my teachers, especially my language arts teachers, pointed out how I tended to be pretty creative. Let it be writing poems, writing essays, illustrating ideas, whatever the assignment was, they enjoyed that even if it wasn't the most visually appealing thing ever, because I don't physically have the artistic ability, or at least not developed, because art definitely runs in the family. I just personally have never trained for it. She enjoys that the idea is there, and I find ways to present it. I remember that one of the things I would do is go through newspapers, go through magazines. If I had access to a printer, I could go online and look up a picture that would fit my frame just right. And I wish I would have kept some of those projects, but one that I remember most vividly is for my 6th grade social studies class. The project was, which country would you like to visit? And of course, everybody ever said France. I was that fucking kid. And what I did was I took poster boards and I created a miniature version first. Let me rephrase that. I had a poster board that would be the parent, the final copy. I set it aside. It was a white one, those that you can get at Walmart. And then I grabbed computer paper and I had 2 pieces. I folded them into 3. There, I already have the skeleton for that tricolore, however you say it, the tricolors of the flag. And my idea was that since I'm thinking about France, I'm going to shape the poster into the French flag. So I took a computer paper to write out the rough draft, and then the second computer paper is the same information but more cleaned up with color. When it's time to go to the poster, I have by this point discarded the first piece of paper, and then the final draft has exclusively what information is going on the poster, because I have already mentally taken the measurement of how much information can fit, how I want to present it, how much space I want it to occupy, how much space I do not want to occupy, so that the design element is clear. Like, take this card, for example. You can't really see it very well. It's not just solid yellow. It has like a little bit of a tie-dye effect going on. Here it's paler, here it's a little paler. You get the point. And look at all this spacing it has. It lets the page breathe. I did the same thing with my posters. I don't like posters or art that's just completely full of information. I guess it's no different from books. You know how books have those indentations and borders where they space out from the edges of the page? Of course, that's done on purpose. Well, I kept something like that in mind as I created my posters. The final copy, I don't remember the order of it, but say when I folded the poster board, I took red construction paper, trimmed it to match the dimensions of the fold in the poster board. And then I took blue construction paper and trimmed it to match the size of the fold in the poster board as well. I forgot to mention that. That just felt like the fastest method and the one that would look best, as opposed to me trying to color it in with a crayon or marker. I just used construction paper. Of course, blue to the left, white in the middle, red to the right. And then the middle, I want to say, is where I did the geography of France. I forgot to mention that I printed the map of Europe with France highlighted, of course. And then I printed the following things I'm going to mention. I printed a picture of the Eiffel Tower. I printed a picture of a zoomed in map of France showing where Paris is. And I also included photos of the other landmarks, geological landmarks that I'm getting ready to mention. I said, okay, I want to go to Paris, France. France's capital is Paris. And of course, one of the artificial landmarks is the Eiffel Tower, but they also have whatever the fuck they have. I don't even remember. They have like some kind of mountain because, of course, my geology interest was still alive at the time. I don't even know what mountains are supposed to be in France, but whatever that was, I said the highest elevation is over here, the lowest elevation is over here. This is the river they have. Those three landmarks. I like to have like a man-made one, which of course everyone always talks about the Eiffel Tower and it's pictured everywhere. And I think that the second one that I picked, it had to be the Pont de l'Homme, whatever it is. It's that one tunnel where Diana died, I think. Then that thing that's like some kind of arching thing over some street. Anyway, for man-made landmarks, I don't really like to acknowledge much that's man-made. I'm more impressed by natural landscaping more than man-made landscaping. Although the fact that people can calculate things and conduct this geometry and put together the materials to bring to life their concept is great, I like things that recur naturally with no planning, no calculations, and it just works out. It just looks nice. Whereas I feel like when we do it, it's more artificial because it's gonna be very symmetrical. It's gonna follow some patterns, some rules, and I don't like that. I think that things like that should be free to develop. But at the same time, I'm grateful that they think about it so that we don't have things just collapsing. If we're gonna create the problem, then we better avoid the mess so that we don't have an issue to resolve. That's the way I see it. So that's why I'm like, nature, just do your shit. You don't go by our invented rules. So there's that. And then to the left, I had, I guess, some facts about the culture, like whatever their diet is primarily, what their religion is, something like historical events, like say they were involved in aiding the United States in the Revolutionary War, I think. I don't know. I don't care. I don't remember. And then stuff like that, little facts like that. And then to the right, I had something like what I would like to achieve on my trip over there, something like that. So I said, of course, eat the food, walk whatever places, something like that. That is like my student level display of art. Now, when it comes to actual art, back in 2014, I got sick very terribly with something that I never knew what the fuck it was because I couldn't go to the doctor. You guys know. This shit lasted from, I think it started like April the 7th. I remember I called out that day. And then I didn't start getting better until like the end of April. I think it was like April 30th. Anyways, I was in so much pain. It was horrible. But somehow I woke up one day feeling slightly better. And since I couldn't really move much, I tried some art because I saw some paper that I don't even know where it came from, honestly. But it's not normal paper. It was like creamy and it had like a sandy texture to it, subtle sandy texture. It just looked antique to me, so I had an idea of creating a scroll, But then I said, I've legit never tried that before and I need a reference. And at the time, I really didn't have internet access like that. So instead, I decided to attempt to draw a character that I was just fascinated by back in the day. And then, about a week after that, somehow I drew something even better. And then I ended up drawing the OG of all of them, the one that I can say, okay, this is as good and as accurate as it's gonna get. And I'm going to demonstrate it to you guys. I'm guessing I got my date and timing wrong, but it really doesn't matter. I remember that something accidentally taped itself onto this, so it's gonna have some damage. But anyway, here it is. This I drew on June the 3rd, 2014. Wow, it's already been 10 years. I can't believe it. On the back, I took a brown paper bag and I taped it against this because the piece of paper is so delicate that I wanted to protect it. And this, if you guys have been here for a long time, you remember that my old room had the wall pretty full of posters and things. I missed that. But anyway, this was definitely up on the wall somewhere. This was like my first attempt and I said, why does this look good? I have never been able to draw anything that looks anything resembling normal. And it's not fantastic because look at the fucking ear, look at the creepy lips and everything. But I was proud of how this came out relatively symmetrical. The shading was looking okay. I feel like shading was always my favorite part to try in art classes. And then the hair, it could look kind of convincing here and there, some shaded areas there. Out of nowhere, I gave this a shot. I tried this and it just looked good to me. This at the time was the best drawing I had ever made in my life. Now this one I drew on June 26, 2014. It looks like this. Definitely an elevated version, a more detailed version, a better looking version, except that the sunglasses were kind of a little off. Of course, it looks like the leg is floating, whatever. But again, I was proud of the detail. I was proud of how the coat area turned out. I had no hope of drawing the little scarf looking thing that they wore. I was just happy that when you look at this, you can tell that that's who I was trying to go for. The lips look messed up. Everything about it looks messed up because again, I've never been a legitimately good drawer. But I was just happy with how it turned out. And even my mom was so happy with how it turned out that she gave it like a little frame. She created a frame for it. Now I'm gonna show you the one that I'm truly proud of. Now this I drew on July 11th, 2014. A poster-sized fucking version of it. This looks significantly better than the ones that I showed you. Except for the glasses, they're a little bit distorted, but the glasses have better detail, like a little bit of a background reflection on it. The hair, I did this with colored pencil, so of course it's gonna look like shit. The face, at least, it looks okay. It's not perfectly shaped, of course, but at least it has more defined features. And I guess a little bit of shading would fix the jaw a little bit to where it doesn't look so artificial. The scarf looking thing, I got it. It looks pretty decent. And then, of course, I gave it a slightly longer body. I have no idea how long this took me. Just remember that I told myself that I want to try to draw something bigger. And here it is. And my favorite thing about having drawn this is that this piece of paper, this was from a futon bed that mom bought for me back in the day. And whatever wrapping it had, I said, this paper is like really smooth, really crisp for me to just throw it away. Should I write a journal entry on it or should I try drawing something? And then I finally decided to draw something. This, I just said to myself, of course, it doesn't look perfect, but for me, it looks good enough. And for a while, I had it on my wall as well in my old room. And I know that years ago, maybe like 7 years ago by now, I made a video about this one. But yeah, this one just made me proud because I thought to myself, if I can practice or if I can have a coach, art for me is possible. But now that my life has gotten kind of worse, I'm definitely not gonna have time for this. And I feel sad because I have some brand new sketchbooks that by now they're like 5, 6, 7 years old, and I haven't touched a page because my life changed and I can't do this. But at least I know that I'm no different from those people who can legit draw. Like, give me the time, allow me to practice, and I could go somewhere with this. And then this, of course, my mom, she bought like some kind of frame for it, and like she made a poster board kind of frame thingy, and then she created something so that we could put like a nail on it and hang it, because of course it's too heavy for it to just have tape like I used to on my walls. But there you have it. And I will show you some more things that I have made over the years. One of my proudest things was I had this idea of using graph paper to make drawings, just like we used to in school. We used to have activity books that our teachers would give us, and it was pretty much graph paper looking figures. You had to follow some kind of key, some kind of grid to create the drawing. We had one for Halloween, we had one for Christmas. I don't think we had an Easter one, but if we did, it probably was an egg or something. But I took that and I said, let me see if someone has pixel art for Pokemon. And they did. And I made this, and this. These are just some examples. I have a handful more. And years ago, I also made a video about this. I'm not going to dwell on them too much, but you can see where I have made some mistakes. It's funny. But I love this because once again, I was creating something. I was using basic tools that I had, such as a pen, and I told myself, once again, this is what's possible if I have time and if I can focus. But I always felt guilty doing these things and pursuing this because at the time I'm like, I need money, I'm super broke, I need to worry about my survival more than art. So any ideas, any dreams that I had about creating shit like this, I just had to give them up. That was just the reality of things. But this shit right here, I was so happy because I was at my most depressed as an adult back in the day. This was like between 2015 and 2016. But making this shit, the way it looked so good in the end and how big it turned out to be, I had no idea it would be this big. I'm like, hell yeah, I can do this all day. This is something that I created on the fly for mom back in 2013. Originally, it was blue, but it has kind of yellowed out over the years. But she said, I need a plane so that I can decorate something. It's going to go on the wall. I think when she was teaching, it was like spring, and she said she needed something to decorate the classroom. She needs a plane to showcase traveling. So I created this, and she had it up on her wall. And I said, Ma, I have never attempted to make a plane before, but it turned out to be so cute. I even gave it its little spoilers and flaps and everything. Bring it back. It doesn't have a tail because, of course, it's just 2D. I keep telling myself one day I need to make the tail for it. So I kind of have the outline for it, and I just gotta actually give it to it. It would be kind of weird to give it a tail when it's flat like this. This, I forget where I got the idea for this, but it was some kind of pattern looking thingy. It was like connecting lines looking things, but I don't remember what it was. It didn't turn out at all like what it was supposed to, but I enjoyed trying things like, how do they look like if they're tighter together? How do they look like if they're farther apart? And I said, well, I spent the time doing this. It doesn't look horrible. Let me just keep it to see if one day maybe I can add things to it to finish it. But I was also trying to give it a background, like make it brownish or something. As you can see, it doesn't look so great, but just wanted to try painting, shading, just coloring. My favorite thing to do was always coloring things. Now, on October the 4th, 2016, I attempted to draw a real life human. And I feel bad because it doesn't look good at all and it's almost disrespectful. But once again, I was still into those patterns that I just described. I was inspired by the case of Christina Grimmie. And of course, she doesn't look so great here. I was so sad about her case because I thought, damn, she was super young and she was legitimately talented and looked like an overall sweet person. I never ran into anybody saying a bad thing about her. At the time, I was like in denial still. And I wasn't even a huge fan of her, but since she was all over the news and the way that it happened, and I pretty much followed the story live as it trended, it was just shocking because she would be like the last person in the world I would think of that would happen to. I want to say I discovered her channel back in 2012, and I vividly remember when in 2014 she participated in The Voice, and I was like, oh, that girl on YouTube who makes music, she's competing on this thing? Wow. In a sense, I said, well, I have zero confidence in my ability to draw somebody, but if I can at least get a little bit of an outline done, I'm happy. And I think the only thing that hints it might be her is the hair and nothing else. I feel kind of bad, but hey, at least I created something and now I have a story to tell you. That was the point. This is a form of journaling, but as opposed to committing the cardinal sin in a movie of telling you the plot, I'm trying to show it to you. If there's something I've always been confident about is my geometric tracing skills, and this is an example. Just take something in its shape, such as a circle, and draw things into it, draw details into it. This is the starter item for any Pokemon master out there. Now, this was supposed to be a birthday card I was going to make for somebody. I sincerely do not remember who it was for, but I think it was around, it had to be around Valentine's Day, or maybe, I don't know. I sincerely don't remember shit, but I never finished it. But just so you know, I'm into making birthday cards too. And then finally, I had another sketchbook that I got to use a page out of. And I was so proud by how good the quality was, but I was threatening to start using it as a journal instead and write. I went online and looked for something simple to draw, especially with nature. So then it gave me something like this. The birds on a branch. And then I remembered what my art teacher used to say, which was something like, anytime you draw something, don't make it calculated. If you're drawing nature, don't draw with too much symmetry. Draw things that don't resemble each other. None of these branches have any similarities. You know, some have a leaf toward the end, some have the leaf, but little twigs going on. And then I said, okay, I understand what she meant now. The birds, they don't look too great, but you can tell that they're birds. Even if I made them a single color, they were still pretty good additions to that image. Woo! That was a trip. I'm actually earning my money in this video. I'm gonna make those 20 cents that I get on ad revenue. That is me creating art paintings. Back in the day, I can't say I will attempt any of that now. I sincerely do not have the time. But it's something that I know that one day, maybe, I will have time to consider and pursue, and maybe I'll either discover that that power was there 10 years ago, but because I neglected it, it died. Or maybe I can prove that, oh, this is what you were born with. This will stay with you. Listening to music. Of course, music is an addiction of mine. Yesterday, I got to practice a little bit, and I was proud that I finally discovered a part to a song that I wasn't even trying to figure out, but because I recognized the note, I picked up on it, and by accident, I guess I discovered it. It was so much better yesterday, but as soon as I start recording, I can't. I just can't. This is by Evanescence. It's called Your Love, we presume. It's never officially been released, but the first time we heard of it was on Lyrics and Legends 2009. And if you remember my Make a Playlist video, the only version of Bring Me to Life that I like is Lyrics and Legends version. But Your Love, we only got like 30 seconds of it. And then this Bring Me to Life version is only like 53 seconds long. It's an acoustic version. But anyway. But yeah, I love listening to music. I have talked about this many, many times before, so I won't dwell on it too long. But my goal now is to go back to having the vocal range I had when I was 16, 17, because now I am not able to hit higher notes without feeling the strain. Like there's like a wall now, like up here, that doesn't allow me to reach notes that I had like up here. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't worry. I'm not crazy, I promise, but I used to be able to sing whistle register notes, and now I'm sad that I can't do that at all. Now it sounds really breathy and airy. I know what I have to do to build back to that, but again, it's one of those things of I don't have the fucking time. I don't have the time I had when I was a teenager to just be at home for an entire 2 months performing vocal exercises that I learned in school, learning my body, I guess, and figuring out my breathing to be able to do those things. This is the sad part. Now I feel like I have the ability to be on key, which is something I couldn't do before. I couldn't sing on pitch. My intonation was horrible, but now I feel like I have the intonation, but now I don't have the physical ability to hit the notes. So it's like my timing is just off now. So for now, I just settle for training my ear, listening to music intently. And the next thing I know, when I sit on the piano, I'm like, oh shit, this sounds like blah, 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 blah. And then I just start playing, if not the right hand, the left hand, but something. I play something and I can recognize what song has that and then figure it out from there. Writing a poem, I don't think I have ever told you guys that I once had one of my poems published, and I forget what edition it was, but I have a copy of it where my poem was published. I don't remember at all what my poem was about. I just remember that it was kind of cringy. I think it was about love. It had to be. I have had a poem published. It happened because of a school assignment, and my teacher, she was legit about being involved in those things. She had a poem posted somewhere in Russian, and the reason I know that is because I told her that if I could learn a language on the spot, it would be Russian. I think I picked Russian because at the time I wanted to learn more about Russian ideology. I had recently learned about the other side of the Cold War, I guess, communism and the Red Scare and things like that. And I said, well, I get to always hear the US side of things. What are the Russians saying? What are the Russian people seeing? So I said, since I'm intrigued by this topic, right on the spot, I would want to learn Russian. And then she shared that she has had a poem posted in Russian. She wasn't Russian or anything like that because she was legit outside of school working with writing stuff and publishers and things like that, then she just fed that information to me. If I were to write a poem in the present, I think, given that my vocabulary is significantly more expansive now, I should be able to do it. But the thing about me and poems is that they were extremely spontaneous. Don't ask me to just write a poem on the spot. In order for me to do it, I would have to pretty much interview you, feel your feelings, and how can I attach my perspective to it. Find some rhymes, of course. I prefer for poems to rhyme, and then create. And if I remember right, the poem that I had published in that one book, it was actually a haiku. I don't think it was like a legit poem anyway. And I wasn't very fond of haikus. They were just limiting to me. But I could also understand the power of being constrained like that. Just weird. Like, I could appreciate the limitation and its meaning, but I didn't appreciate it because I like to express myself with no restraint, pretty much. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed embarking on this journey of me reminiscing over some things. I don't know what to tell you. It's just one of those things that I know who I am and what I can do, but my real life discourages that. And there's no telling what I could have been if I would have been able to pursue those things. And like I've said before, I have had so many interests, so many abilities, but I cannot commit to any. And it also doesn't help that I haven't been invested into pursuing any. I tried to do that as an adult, especially when I didn't have money. The massive sacrifice I made at the time to get my materials, such as the sketchbook, the giant ass sketchbook that I have 2 of them and all that. And I only touched maybe 3 pages out of one of them, and then no pages out of the second one that I bought. It's just so sad and depressing, and because it was something that had the potential to frustrate me, I just decided to store those sketchbooks so well that I, off the top of my head, don't know where they're at. But if I see them again, I think I would turn them into journals because I just love how they look. And I'm like, ooh, what would it be like to journal on something that's like this big? But I also think about how many notebooks I have because the cover was so cute. Notebooks and pens to me was the same as leggings. Leggings are more important than food. Leggings are more important than water. It's nice. I like to see that I can talk to you guys about it and I still feel that energy, that excitement flow through me. But then I'm like, oh, reality check. Come back to reality. All right, that's it. Let me know if you are artistic. One of you guys has the literal name Art Student. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what you have to say. And let me know if you are a writer. I know who my other writer is. And this is a writer of multiple languages. And yeah, we all have something like this going on within all of us. We just gotta figure out which one it is. I don't think that I would have ever become this savage artist like the ones I be seeing online who can make art out of anything. But at least I know that I could get by. And my superpower has been writing. I can write for like 6-8 hours straight like it's nothing. And some people can't even make it beyond the first paragraph. All right, that's it. Bye.